Aces. Oh, my lads, you should have seen them running. Ask them why and they replied, the Bolton boys are coming. All the lads and lasses, smiles upon their faces, walking down the Vale road to see the Burnden Aces. Lads, you should have seen them running. Asked them why and they replied, the Bolton boys are coming. All the lads and lasses, smiles upon their faces, walking down the Vale road to see the Burnden Aces. Oh, my lads, you should have seen them running. Asked them why and they replied, the Bolton boys are coming. All the lads and lasses, smiles upon their faces, we're walking down the Vale road to see the Burnden Aces.
Hello there and a warm welcome to Wanderers Weekly, a new look channel dedicated to all things Bolton Wanderers, hosted by yours truly. We'll be bringing you reaction from Wanderers fans and pundits alike on a weekly basis, as well as in exclusive interviews with ex-players, BWFC legends and so on and so forth. Now, a massive thanks must go to Bolton-based band the Jade Assembly for allowing us to use one of their tracks, Burnden Aces, a very fitting song for Wanderers Weekly, so thanks for that, lads. So kicking off in what is our debut episode, I'll be joined shortly by Bolton FM, Bolton Wanderers commentator Derek Clark. And now Derek, of course, covers every single Bolton Wanderers game live on Bolton FM and also does host his very own football podcast, Talking Football. During the course of tonight's show, please don't forget to get involved using the live chat feature on YouTube, Wanderers fans. So hello, Derek. First and foremost, thanks for joining us here at Wanderers Weekly. Our very first guest on the very first episode. That's quite an accolade in itself, isn't it, pal?
I feel special, Tom. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it.
So yeah, it's been a successful week for the lads, maintaining our great run of form, securing those wins over Cambridge United on Tuesday, a great performance there, and at Port Vale at Vale Park yesterday afternoon. Slightly not as encouraging as Tuesday's performance overall, but it was a win and stretching our unbeaten run now to 11 matches, joining Barnsley in boasting the EFL's longest unbeaten record.
Yeah, it's quite something. They're on a right good roll at the moment, Bolton. You're right. Yesterday it's not going to make the end of season DVD for classic matches, that's for sure. But it's all about picking up points. And Ian Evatt said after the game that's the most important win of the season. And he's right in a way, because it was one of those where, I think I said it on commentary, you just roll up the sleeves, knuckle down and try and escape with all 3 points. And they managed to do that, just tick it off, move on to the next game. So keep that win and run going. As you say, 9 wins out of the last 11 games, which is absolutely incredible stuff. Considering when you look back to the earlier in the season, I don't think anyone's seen the run coming, but they recruited wisely in January and the right good atmosphere in the squad at the moment, and you can see that conveyed on the pitch.
So as we say there, in comparison to Tuesday's performance, it was a tough afternoon in tough conditions. With the pitch was heavy, it made it very difficult for the players to play, and obviously the injury to Anthony Sarcevic as well, which had a detrimental effect to our chances. But I was going to say it's a great strike from Gethin Jones. I'm not sure. I remember him speaking to the gaffer after the game, and he was saying he actually aimed for the opposite corner, but sort of stumbled and the ball trickled over the net. He said the ball seemed to take ages to find the back of the net, but it was indeed the match winner.
Yeah, you're right about the conditions. I mean, I turned up and it was hailstones. It was horrendous, and it was one of those where you're just diving into the stadium to avoid getting soaked and getting hailstones off the side of your head. And then all of a sudden the sunshine appeared and it was, you're basking in the heat, and I'm worried I'm going to get sunburned. So it was one of those crazy 4 seasons in one day job. I think the pitch from where we were sitting in the press box looked good compared to other pitches that we've seen. If we use this sort of Mansfieldometer, that was a diabolical bog, wasn't it? But compared to that, it looked pretty good. But apparently it was cutting up a bit, and we've seen that with the injuries, unfortunately. With the skipper, Anthony, going off. He did come off in midweek against Cambridge. The manager says it was because he just felt his hamstring a little. But this was his opposite hamstring, which is a worry. So that may be a good few weeks. Luckily, as soon as he felt it, he just came off. I think you know when you've pulled a hamstring or when you've tweaked something. So it is a worry. Hopefully he won't be out for too long, because he had been coming on to a game again after sitting out for a period of time. So that is a big loss. But I mean, Lloyd Isgrove came on and done a job. He's been terrific, as have all the front players been terrific for Bolton of late. So yeah, it was one of those ones. When you mentioned Gethin Jones, you did say that I came for the other corner. It's one of those, you don't care where you're aiming, as long as it ends up in the back of the net. And one of the things that we spoke to him a few weeks ago, and he said that's one of his things he's wanting to work on, getting involved more in the attacks and setting up goals and scoring goals. Well, he had an assist against Cambridge, with a beauty that Owen Doyle finished, of course, and popping up with the winning goal and at the weekend as well. Vital goal as well too, and he's another one that's playing out his skin at the moment.
Yeah, speaking of Anthony going off, I do think that was more of a precaution thing, because I do know when the players landed back in Bolton, they got off the coach. He seemed to be walking pretty fine. I think it was more of a the gaffer trying to protect him from damaging and rupturing it even further.
Yeah,
so I think precaution.
So. Yeah, absolutely. I think so. It certainly looked like that to me when I was watching it from the sidelines, taking no chances. He'll know himself. It wasn't one of those ones where you're running for a ball and then it's almost like you get shot in the back of your leg and you just hit the deck. It didn't look like that, so hopefully it isn't too serious, but I'd still imagine him being 2 to 3 weeks out with a hamstring injury. You don't want to rush these things back. You want to make sure that he's coming back and not breaking down again. So you've just got to manage him well, Anthony, with regards to that, because he's a vital player, of course. Skipper. It was interesting, of course, had 3 captains on Saturday. Of course, when Owen Doyle went off, and we've seen Ricardo Santos taking the armband. But I tell you what, without Sarcevic there's a whole load of other leaders in that team right now that you feel comfortable taking that armband on, don't you?
Oh yeah, and obviously it was Anthony's birthday on Saturday. I know he wouldn't have liked to come off on his birthday, but no. Seeing the Whites win away, like we said, it wasn't a great performance, but if you want to get promotion or win titles, those are the sort of things you've got to do. And although you know that you're not playing at your optimum best, it's about finding ways to sort of grind those results out.
Yeah, it's a mark of champions, isn't it? I mean, that's what good teams do. If they're not at their best, they'd still manage to find a way, and Bolton managed to do that. I mean, I don't think they really tested Scott Brown really until the goal went in. But that sort of seemed to knock the stuffing out of Port Vale, and from then on they just defended comfortably. I felt. I mean, Port Vale, they huffed and puffed, but they never looked like they were going to breach the Bolton defence. And I mean, it has been a problem for Bolton. That is their main issue at the moment, is finding the back of the net, and that's why they find themselves in a relegation scrap. It seems crazy to think that that's the same team that came to the Uniball and won 6-3 earlier on in the season. It just seems bizarre.
In terms of the first half, it was without sugarcoating it. It was dire, wasn't it? From both sides, both sides failed to create absolutely anything. It was just, I can imagine that the gaffer had some stern words for the players at half time, saying, "This is what you're up against. You've got to take this opportunity," and they did, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it. I mean, the conditions, they were struggling. I mean, the ball was getting caught in the wind. The pitch underfoot was a bit heavy, and it was just difficult to play on it. Even if it said afterwards he doesn't think Man City could have played their game on that pitch either. So it was just one of those. I think get them in at half time. He just wanted a bit more urgency, tempo, and he got that. The players delivered. They got the goal, and as soon as they got the goal, you just felt comfortable that they weren't going to give anything away after that. They've got that sort of steely determination now, don't they? You feel comfortable as soon as they go up that they'll see it out.
Yeah, we spoke about Gethin Jones there briefly. A great moment for him finding the net, because as you say, that's one thing he's been looking to do, to add goals to his game. Lloyd Isgrove, another player who's been knocking on the door, hasn't quite consistently got in the team week in, week out, but he's certainly knocking on the door with some impressive performances. Yeah,
Barry, his work rate is tremendous. I mean, he doesn't stop going, and he's back defending as well, and he's all over the place, which is great to see. He's a proper. That's what Nevitt wants from his players. I know he spoke to him during the week and asked the manager how can he get a permanent role in the team, and he said he just needs to improve in his delivery in the final third. So I think that's something that he'll surely work on. But in terms of his work rate, he'll get 110% from him. I was impressed from him yesterday, as I've been with him from the last few games in this great run that they're on. I don't think there's any player that you're thinking to yourself, well, that's maybe a problem area. I think everyone's sort of stepping up to the mark, and the manager now has got strength and depth on the bench as well, where you can turn to the bench and he knows he's got trusted players there that can come on and make a difference as well.
You had the opportunity to, as you always do, obviously spoke to Ian Evatt post-match. Despite remaining upbeat, the gaffer does always demand and he expects much more from the lads, doesn't he? I mean, even if we win a game 5-0, he'll want us to win 7. That's just his mentality. Yeah. He always demands more from the players, and that's signs of a great manager.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think it was evident, I think in the midweek game against Cambridge, I mean, they were up 2-0 and they were cruising, they were playing some lovely stuff, and I think there was a misplaced pass and he's going ballistic on the touchline, but that shows you he wants perfection. He wants the players to keep striving for better and keep going at the tempo that they were playing at. So it's good to see that you're not just resting on your laurels and you're striving for perfection. It bodes well for the future, that's for sure. And like I say, Saturday, I think he admitted the conditions. It was one of those ones we weren't going to see scintillating football on that surface. It's all about grinding it out, and they've done so. And like I mentioned there, it's like the mark of champions. Those points, it almost means a bit more than maybe beating a team convincingly. Just coming away from, let's say, Port Vale. He said that himself. You know what they say about playing in a wet and windy day in Stoke. Well, they went and done it, and they came away with maximum points.
But from Ian Evatt's and Bolton's point of view, there's no way you can prepare for that. If you turn up on a Saturday and the pitch was in the state it was in, you've just got to try your absolute best to battle through those conditions.
Yeah, it's almost like you're taking on the conditions and the team. You can't let it affect you. I mean, it's a leveler in effect for both sides. Because like I say, that was just a bit bizarre on Saturday with the rain and the sunshine. It came to a point where you're struggling to see the players because the sun was so low. It was blinding for the players as well. So it was just crazy. But that's the British. Well, we're moving into springtime now, aren't we? So it's just unpredictable weather at this stage of the year.
I remember Gethin Jones actually saying when he was describing what he saw or what he didn't see when he was striking the ball, he said that the sun was glaring in one eye and he was aiming for the other corner and just scuffed it and it hit the ball. It's sort of like, the keeper just rooted to the spot. He didn't know what to do, and the ball just went in the opposite direction. Yeah,
you're right. I think the keeper was a bit surprised as well, to be fair, about the direction of it. It was a great move, though. I mean, he might have sclaffed it a little bit, but 15 passes up until that move, and great vision from Dapo, I think, that found him, that cut the ball back. It was a tremendous move to play on that surface and create a goal like that was tremendous to finish it off. And Gethin's got a knack of scoring against Port Vale. That was his only second goal, and they both came against Port Vale. Of course, he scored in the 6-3 game as well. So you sometimes find that players just like scoring against certain teams.
Yeah, we spoke about the conditions there, and people will be saying, "Oh, yeah, it's only a bit of bad weather." But the way we play, the way we zip the ball about, the intensity of the attacking phase of the game, that it does affect us massively due to the speed we play out. We play out on the floor, we zip the ball around, and obviously on the injury front as well, it obviously affected us with Sarsevic's injury on a quicker pitch. Would that injury have occurred? We don't know. Obviously, Matt Gilks went down injured as well, which Bolton fans everywhere were absolutely really worried after he went down after a challenge with obviously no substitute keeper available. Obviously, you spoke to the gaffer after the game, and he rather comically actually said he could hear Bolton fans everywhere shouting, "There's no keeper on the pitch. What we're gonna do?" sort of thing.
Yeah, I found it was quite funny when he came out with that. But I tell you what, he was worried on the touchline when Gilks went down because it looked a sore one. Luckily, he was okay. But Matt Gilks is an experienced pro, and I'm sure he'd have soldiered on. But it's one of those ones where I don't know any manager that's ever not put a goalie on the bench. But see, when you think about it, how often do you need that substitute goalkeeper? He's playing the law of averages, Ian Evatt here, and putting an extra attacker on the bench. And so far, touch wood, it's paying off. There will come a time when he comes a cropper, but you just hope maybe there's a player in there that doesn't mind going in goal. But yeah, it was one of those ones, heart and mouth stuff. But it wasn't just Anthony Sarcevic who came off injured. Two Port Vale players get injured as well. And actually had to play with 10 men for large period, well, the last period of the game. So I think that the conditions did have a part to play with it, with the injuries with regards to those.
Yeah, I spoke about the intensity of Bolton's play, especially this season. Obviously, the last couple of seasons have been difficult for everyone connected to the club. But this season, even the football results aside, the way the team are playing, the attacking intensity constantly, week in, week out, is really exciting for those Bolton fans watching from home.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take time. That's what he was trying to implement at the start of the season, and it just wasn't coming off. But these things take time, and it's good to see. It's now we're sort of seeing the fruits of the work that's been put in now, and it's evident to see it's night and day from the start of the campaign, where the players weren't too sure. They were actually playing different systems that maybe they hadn't played in for a while, but they looked more defensively solid. And the team pretty much picks itself. I mean, it was unchanged at the weekend, and more or less in the last few weeks, it's just maybe 1-2 changes at most. So the players are getting used to playing with each other. They're of course they're training every day, and they're taking part in these drills and what have you. And it is coming off. We are seeing it on the training pitch. I think we've seen it more so against Cambridge. That first 70 minutes was just, the first half in particular was brilliant to watch. Some of the moves that were coming off, one-touch stuff, was great to see, and that's hours upon hours on the training pitch. I mean, that don't wake up one day and then decide to play like that. So it's going to take time, but it's similar to what he had his Barrow team playing. We all know about the Barcelona and all that sort of stuff. So I think everyone was hopeful that in time Bolton would start playing this sort of attacking brand of football, and I think we're starting to see glimpses of it.
We spoke a bit about the skipper. They're obviously coming off with a hamstring injury. And just how severe do you think it is? Do you think obviously he will definitely miss the game with Walsall over the weekend? I
would say so. If it's hamstring, you're talking 2 weeks. If you're looking on it favourably and hoping for him to be back, I think he's missing that in Forest Green. I would say. I think he would be a doubt for that. I mean, we've still to wait to see what the manager's going to say. But just looking on it, a hamstring injury. Historically, it's at least around about a 3-week job, so I wouldn't be expecting him back anytime soon. We do hope that it's not as bad as first feared, of course, but if he is out, like we said, I mean, there's players that can come in there that can fill that role. I wouldn't be too overly concerned about him missing games, because the players have stepped up of late.
And obviously we're seeing Maddison not even feature on Saturday. He could come in. We've got likes of Harry Brockbank and several other key names in there that could come in and fill the role. Yeah,
well, I mean, Delfonso sort of took up the mantle in his sort of role when he went off, where Isgrove and Afolayan were in both sides, but he could play there. What I liked on Saturday as well, we were seeing the return of Elbaz Eddie come on, and when he was coming on, you think to yourself, who's going to play up front, because Owen Doyle was coming off, but lo and behold, he can play up front as well. So I was very impressed by him running down the channels, and Ian Everett said afterwards as well, he's been doing really well in training and he deserves his chance. And just shows you, I mean, like you say, Maddison left out, but there's going to be disappointed boys in that squad. You can only pick so many players, and he's got a lot of players on form at the moment. So it's just about keeping that squad happy, keeping the players that aren't in the starting 11 happy, and making sure they're ready when called upon.
Absolutely. So obviously prior to yesterday's win at Vale Park, the lads produced arguably their finest performance of the season from the outset. I know obviously the result from the Port Vale game was perhaps more important, but obviously Cambridge were second in the league at that time. Obviously at half-time we could have been 3-0 up when Doyley just missed that chance right on half-time to make it 3-0. It would have certainly been a different team talk from Ian Everett at half-time, but in a 2-1 win, after dominating the first half, like I said, after some initial pressure from Cambridge, because they did start the game quite brightly. But as I say, we could have gone into the break 3 goals to the good, but a great performance. But as the gaffer alluded to, we have to kill games off when we're on top like that. But I suppose that'll come with experience after this run. And just we've got 11 games now. I suppose the lads are going to learn that in the next 11 games to come.
Yeah, you're right there. I mean, I think I never felt, even when Cambridge scored that goal, it was of course a mistake by Gilks. Even from then on in, you just felt comfortable that Bolton would see it out. Defensively, they coped with everything that Cambridge threw at them. I think they thoroughly deserved the 3 points in that game. And you're right, they should have been out of sight at half-time. That's one thing that Ian Evatt has said recently, that he just wants to kill teams off and just be more clinical in front of goal. But the goals were sensational. I mean, the first goal in particular, the Doyle one, was great to watch. And of course, Gethin Jones just laid it on a plate and he just took it in his stride, didn't he? Fired it into the corner. Sarsevic's goal was a beauty as well. And Doyle very unlucky not to make it 3 before half-time. And even the Cambridge manager, Mark Bonner, afterwards, he was very complimentary, saying that Bolton thoroughly deserved the win. They played really well, and keep playing like that, they won't be in League Two for too much longer. So very complimentary. But to be fair, I think Bolton, they deserve to win down at the Abbey Stadium as well earlier in the season. Of course, it was one apiece down there. Starcevic scored the equaliser, but they were unlucky not to take all 3 points in that game as well. And you think of yourself, Cambridge are right up there at the top of the top end of the table, and there's nothing to really concern yourself. It's all there for Bolton. If they win their games, they'll be going up, no doubt about it. No playoffs or anything. They'll be thinking about automatics. So, and Forest Green coming up, there's another club that you'll want to be getting revenge on as well. So it's made up for a very exciting last 11 games of the season.
It's a bit strange when you look at the table, because there's a few teams that are in false positions. There's Bolton on 35. There's some teams who have played 32, 33. So there's different, obviously, teams have played more than others. So you don't know how, sometimes you might need to rely on other results to come in. But a lot of fans have been saying, other results didn't go for us today. I says, you've just got to focus. We just got to focus on ourselves. If we do what we've been doing, then we will get there.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I've seen folks saying teams below with games in hand, so not worried about that. But you'd rather have points on the board, and not just that. You're right. Just concentrate on yourselves, because at the moment they're flying. There's nobody in that division you should be fearful of catching you or what have you. Just keep doing as you're doing. I can't see them. I think Dapple was asked on Tuesday night if they can go the season unbeaten from here on, and I think that's a bit much to ask at the moment. I would just concentrate on each game at a time, as they have been doing, and take it. That's what's proven successful lately. And I wouldn't worry, like you say, about anyone else, because if they carry on as they do, they'll be going up. There'll be no playoffs and what have you. They'll be going straight back into League One. And I think it's still some twists and turns, I think, before the end of the season. But certainly a lot to be encouraged about, that's for sure.
I know you speak to the gaffer a lot post-match. He's so grounded, isn't he? I mean, even after Saturday's win, 11 matches unbeaten, but he still remains focused on taking each individual match as it comes and take it from there.
That's it. I think you don't want to be going off and saying we're going to go up and what have you and that sort of stuff. I know you get a bit of stick at the start of the season, but for me, I don't see it. I mean, he was just showing a bit of ambition. You're Bolton, you should be expected to go up. They're one of the favourites to go back up. I think that's a given. So I think he was unfairly criticised a bit from some quarters with regards to that. But at this stage of the season, you're right. Just keep them grounded. Just keep them concentrating one game at a time, and then let's see where it takes you. You don't want to be making any suggestions at this stage. And I mean, just quietly go about your business. And he said as well on Saturday, a lot of people are taking notice of Bolton now, especially with the run of form that they're on at the moment. One of the informed teams in the country, of course, as well. So there's that. There's teams out there that will want to get Bolton and try and end this run as well. But the players at the moment standing up to every challenge and making games look comfortable as well. I know the Cambridge one, you could say they're hanging on, but for me, they were comfortable. And they've looked like that in the last few weeks as well. So the signs are good.
Yeah, I heard Ian Evatt going on about why, obviously, we play a high press and we play a high line. But he said he prefers that to, obviously, when you said about the substitutions, he always brings an attacker on for another attacker in the purpose of, if you maintain that high press, if you sort of play deeper, then you're inviting that pressure on. Whereas if you're constantly on the attack and remaining in the high press, then that relieves that pressure and you're on the attacking foot straight away.
Yeah. he sees games differently than than most, I think. I never thought of that really, because usually you go, let's shut up shop and let's just protect what we have. That's a general consensus, isn't it? With football managers and fans and what have you, get a defender on and let's just close the back door. But his views in the game it's quite refreshing in a way. The goalkeeper situation is one. That's another one, but it's just you're just reliant on the personnel, then, aren't you? The personnel carrying out and keeping going. It's a lot to ask the players to empty the tank for the duration of the game like that. A lot of players see fatigue setting in and what have you, but he's got the belief of bringing on attackers, which fair play to him. I mean, if you think about it as the opposition, if you're the defenders and you're seeing a Owen Doyle or something going off, but then another attacker coming on, you're thinking, oh Jesus, what's going on here? So there's that side of things as well. So it's refreshing to see a manager do that, and I mean it's worked so far. So long may it continue.
Yeah, you mentioned about the options that we've got in terms of the squad. Dennis Politic to come back as well, which we're very exciting. When it obviously is in a long-term injury process recovery at the minute, but when he is back, it's very exciting to think that he's yet to come back into the squad. Yeah,
it'd be like a new signing when he comes back, wouldn't it? I think we're looking at next season, I think, before we start seeing him making an impression again, and hopefully he'll be way behind, way past the injury problems that he's had. It's an absolute nightmare. I can't think how frustrating and stuff it must be for him, just watching the team, especially in this run, and you're sat at home, nothing you can do about it, and you're in the gym and stuff trying to get your fitness back. So, it's been tough. So it'll be great to see him back. Another one recently, who's like a new signing, Sean Miller, because I think everyone forgot about him when he was injured for a large spell, and then he came back, scored that bizarre goal at Southend, and then he popped up with another winner as well recently. He's another one that's it's great to see him back. And he's obviously had an impression off the bench. The likes of Arthur Ganu is another one, and as I mentioned earlier on, El Bazedi, who I think everyone had forgotten about as well, coming on, and you'll think to yourself, he's taking a claim as well in there. So, it's good to see these players in and around the squad. And like you say, Politic coming back as well will be a great boost when he finally does get back amongst the squad.
So prior to yesterday's game, Ian Evatt and Ricardo Almeida Santos picked up the Sky Bet League 2 Player and Manager of the Month awards, respectively. Very pleasing for the pair, but the gaffer isn't one to be overawed at such things, is he? So, it's a nice memento to take, but the focus is still the same. Take each game as it comes and fight for every point. I was found it bizarre, actually, when I went on social media and the Bolton fans were like, oh God, they've won these 2 awards. That's our curse now. That they've because every time they seem to win Player or Manager of the Month, we seem to go on a bad run of form. But it's just in the head, really. But fantastic news for the pair, though. I mean, Ricardo's been fantastic. He's just signed in a new deal at the club. But what a guy to have around.
Yeah, I think he's incredible. See to watch. It's just players bounce off the guy. He's an absolute colossus. I think I've said that a number of times in commentary. You're almost sat there laughing because it's just a mismatch when he comes up against these forward players. He just takes the ball so easily off them, and it's great to tie him down in that extended deal because there will be clubs sniffing about him. He's a class act, and it's great to see him commit his future to Bolton because he's been absolutely sensational of late. Him and Baptiste, I think that they've forged a really great partnership at the heart of the defence. I mean, if somebody gets by Baptiste, Santos is there just to mop up, and likewise if anyone gets past Santos, which is very rare, Baptiste is there as well. So the pair of them have been terrific. I think was it 4 clean sheets and 6 in February or something. So well deserving of the award. Just one thing I think that the pair of them really could maybe improve on is the set pieces, not defending them, which I think they do well, but going forward, you think with the sort of physicality of the pair of them, we've not scored as many goals from corners and free kicks as maybe we should have. So I think that's maybe one thing that we'd like to see them do more of, get on the score sheet a bit more often.
Yeah, Ricardo's obviously been in the Sky Bet League 2 Team of the Week pretty much every single week at late. I watched his interview with the club after he'd signed his new deal, and he seems like such a nice guy, and he's really happy in the squad, and he wants to develop as a player. at Bolton Wanderers over the next couple of years. And as you say, he is a man mountain. So demanding. I mean, this 11-game unbeaten run, I think we've got 7 clean sheets in those 11. Yeah. So having players like him and Baptiste around really having a positive effect on the club. And it's great that he wants to develop at this club and wants to take this club that far. Yeah,
he just looks a class above the division he's playing in. I mean, it's plain to see. And the pair of them, I mentioned earlier on about looking comfortable defensively, even when Cambridge scored that goal the other night there, you still felt that you were comfortable, you wouldn't concede again because they two are just rocks at the heart of the defence. And yeah, Santos, terrific player. I think hopefully there won't be too many bids coming Bolton's way in the summertime, but I would not be surprised if there was, because teams should be looking at him, because he's, like you say, in team of the week every week. I think it's a given. And he's just, I can't remember the last time a striker got the better of him. I think we're looking at the earlier part of the season. I think he had a toughish sort of time at Carlisle. That game up there, which was another one. It was the elements were week and a half up there, and it was Bolton to be able to snatch a draw. But that's the only game where I felt he's maybe a bit uncomfortable. But apart from that, he's just breezed through games.
So away from Bolton Wanderers for a brief second, a little bit on yourself, Derek. We all know you commentate on Wanderers for Bolton FM. But in terms of getting involved in sports commentary and media production, just talk us through your journey, pal, and where it all really started for you.
Yeah, well, I think, like everybody, as soon as you realise you're not going to make it as a professional footballer, you're like, I want to stay in the game somehow. So always fancied going into the reporting and the commentary side. So went to uni back in the day. I think graduated 2007 or sometime like that, and then started just reporting on Scottish football, my local team, Hamilton Accies, for local radio station. Then I moved on to cover games on the likes of STV and all that, which is the Scottish equivalent of ITV up north. Wow. The likes of Scottish football, Scottish games up there. And then I came down to Leeds to work for a sports radio station. 2016, I think that was. So covered a whole load of Yorkshire clubs, done bits and pieces, covered games for the likes of TalkSport, IRN, which is like Sky News Radio, if you like, RTE, which is based over in Ireland. So done that, and then moved over to Warrington, where I am now. Worked for some radio stations over here, the likes of Tower FM, who used to cover the Bolton games, and that's where I sort of started going to pressers and that when Parky was in the job. I interviewed him a few times, and then there was fortunate enough that Bolton FM asked me to do a game last season. I went down to Bristol Rovers, where I think it was the first win under the Keith Hill regime.
Yeah, I remember that well.
So, yeah. So we got a win there, and then I was fortunate they asked me to do the games this season. And I was thankful to take up their offer, and that's where we are now.
From what I remember, was it Ali Crawford who scored that day? I think it was.
Yeah, Crawford scored, and I'm not sure if it was Dodo that scored as well. I can't remember if he scored.
Like a bright luminous yellow kit.
It was, yeah.
I remember that game.
So you think to yourself after that, that they'll kick on from here on in, but it never sort of materialised, didn't it? But so I done that game last season, and then I've done every game this season. They've been dubbed the voice of promotion, so no pressure. Especially at the start of the season, you think to yourself, Jesus, they're a long way from promotion, but they certainly seem to have got their house in order now, and they're rocking up that league.
So before I do call it a day, I personally want to issue a huge mention to Paul Holliday. Obviously works at the club. He's undergoing a 21-day challenge at the minute, running 10 miles a day in aid of World's Down Syndrome. Paul has amazingly raised £1,840 so far, and he's mightily close to reaching his target of £2,000. So if anyone wants to help or support Paul in his quest to reach £2,000 for that great charity, then please visit paulholiday.co.uk. So Derek, before we do wrap things up, mate, given our current form and the momentum from our current run, just how much are you looking forward to Saturday's clash with Walsall now at the Uniball? Obviously, we've got not a week off, but obviously a week to prepare for our next game. Just how much are you looking forward to Saturday's game?
Yeah, certainly. And before I touch on that Tom, I mean, you mentioned there, Paul. I was speaking to him after the games, and he does the 10-mile runs before the games and what have you.
Wow.
You think to yourself, this is every day. I just can't fathom how he can be doing that every day. I mean, it's taking a right toll on his body. But fair play to him. He's raised a shed load of cash as well. So absolutely fantastic effort. So yeah, people donate to that. That's a great cause. The Walsall game, yep, very much looking forward to it. Looking forward to all the games now. The way Bolton are playing at the moment, I think I'm not alone in saying it's great to watch. Everyone's looking forward to the games. The team are playing some great stuff. You're hearing guys like Gethin Jones says it's one of the best dressing rooms he's been involved in. You certainly see that on the pitch. It seems a right good atmosphere. I think Ian Evatt said it himself as well. Behind the scenes, there's a different feel about the club, and you feel that amongst the support as well. There's a right good amount of positivity as well. So I think you go into that Walsall game with full confidence and belief. Go and rectify the early result early in the campaign, which incidentally Darryl Clark was in charge there. Of course, he was in the dugout for Port Vale, which is a strange one. But I think it's a different ball game this time. Different Bolton side that are taking on Walsall. Go in there and do the business, and then look ahead to the Forest Green game, which will be a belter of a game. Looking forward to that as well.
Normally, when teams have a week off in training, they work on things that they've not been so good at. What do we work on when we're on an 11-game unbeaten streak? What is there to work on? Just the mindset and the maintaining those levels of high intensity.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, as we've touched on earlier, I mean, Ian Evatt, like you say, is a perfectionist, so they'll be doing those training drills, those one-touch passing moves, attacking moves, and what have you. I'd like to see him, as I mentioned earlier on, I like set piece wise, corner kick wise, and an attacking sense. I think that's maybe one area where we'd like to maybe see more come from them. In terms of, I mean, look at the height of the likes of Baptiste and Santos in there. MJ Williams as well is a tall guy. He's got a physical presence. So I'd like to maybe see more aerial threat in the set piece going forward areas. But apart from that, I guess it's just going over the drills, making sure you're tip-top going into that game. And like you say, it's the first real time because they've just been sort of playing. It's been a real intense amount of games, hasn't it? I think it's 10 games in 33 days or something, where they played Saturday, Tuesday. So a lot of players, you'll see, a lot of players actually prefer that. They just prefer just to play games and recover. But it'll give them a chance to recover. Ian Evatt said that after the game on Saturday, they'll recover, give their legs a rest, and then get back to the training ground and work on a few things. So I'll give the coaching staff a bit of time to maybe do a few things that they didn't have time to do previously.
I think Tuesday was absolutely perfect for us in the sense of we've just played Bradford, got a bad result in terms of the way we dominated the game, and they've just killed us with a 93rd minute equaliser, which would have been 8 wins on the trot. It's 7 wins on the trot. But yeah, playing a game on the Tuesday, having to make up for those errors just a few days later, it gave them that opportunity to take out all their frustrations on a team who were second in the league. And because of the Saturday-Tuesday thing, that's obviously give us that extra motivation to obviously playing Saturday-Tuesday. If you can't win a game, it can be a bit demoralising. But to take out your frustrations on Cambridge United, that was a great opportunity, and it came at a very good time for us.
Yeah, it certainly did. You mentioned in the Bradford game, I think Ian Evatt said after the game it was the best performance of the season, that Bradford game. Just the way they were playing, and sort of agreed with them as well, because it was fantastic, especially a Bradford team that were flying themselves. It was just a sucker punch at the end, but the players didn't feel sorry for themselves after that. They just came out the blocks against Cambridge and they just blew them away. So it's great for a manager. He'll be pleased at that the players mentally aren't affected by losing a late goal like that, and they can just put it aside and then carry on. So it certainly makes some good reading going forward, that's for sure.
So many thanks to Derek Clark for joining us in our debut show. We realise that the channel will require time to build. We appreciate all of your support, guys. So please like this video and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Please stay tuned for next week's episode, following Saturday's game with Walsall. Now, closing the show, we'll leave you in the capable hands of Derek, who'd like to say a few words before we finish things up.
Yeah, cheers, Tom. Yeah, like I said there, things are looking up for Bolton Wanderers now. I think the team are flying, as the manager said, behind the scenes and on the pitch as well. You can sense it. Supporters can sense something good is happening here. And hopefully after so many years in the wrong hands, mismanagement and what have you, that we've now got the shoots of spring and something to look forward to. I think we've got players now that you can relate to and get right behind. And yeah, it's just let's just support the team, and hopefully we can see them get back up into League One at the first time I ask. And they're certainly going the right way about it as sit here right now, that's for sure.
Oh, me lads, you should have seen them running. Asked them why and they replied, the Bolton boys are coming. All the lads and lasses, smiles upon their faces, walking down the mighty road to see the Burnden Aces. Oh, me lads, you should have seen them running. Asked them why and they replied, the Bolton boys are coming. All the lads and lasses, smiles upon their faces, walking down the mighty road to see the Burnden Aces. Lads, you should have seen them running. Asked them why and they replied, the Bolton boys are coming. All the lads and lasses, smiles upon their faces, walking down the mighty road to see the Burnden Aces. Oh, me lads, you should have seen them running. Asked them why and they replied, the Bolton boys are coming. All the lads and lasses, smiles upon their faces, we're walking down the mighty road to see the Burnden Aces.